Prime Minister Anthony Albanese says an Iranian projectile has hit an area near the Minhad Air Base in the United Arab Emirates, where Australian soldiers are stationed. Defence correspondent Tom Lowry is in Parliament House and joins us now. Tom, what do we know about this incident?
Yeah, good afternoon, Ros. The Prime Minister says a projectile of some sort fired from within Iran has landed on a road near the Minhad Air Base around about 9:15 Australian Eastern Time this morning. It's landed close enough to the base to cause some damage within it, damaging a medical facility and also an accommodation block, Australian facilities within this air base. Just a bit of background on Minhad for you. It is a joint facility shared with countries like the United Kingdom. There's also a small American presence within this base as well, though the US has a larger base of its own nearby. But it is a significant facility for Australia. It's something of a staging point. Whenever ADF personnel fly into this region, they often fly into Minhad, are processed there before perhaps heading on to elsewhere. So there is often perhaps around 100 or so Australians within this base, though that number does fluctuate heavily as the Prime Minister pointed out. He was also at pains to say that no Australians were injured during this attack. We also understand the wedge-tail surveillance aircraft that was deployed to the Middle East a few days ago to help us to assist the UAE in defending against Iranian strikes isn't based out of Minhad at present, nor are the 85 ADF crew that were deployed over with it. Here's the Prime Minister speaking on this incident during a press conference in Hobart earlier today.
There was an Iranian projectile hit near that base. I can confirm that no Australian personnel were injured and everyone is absolutely safe at this point in time. There was minor damage to an accommodation block and a medical facility due to a small fire that was created as a result of that projectile hitting on a road leading up to that base. I have been to that base and spoken to our Australian Defence Force personnel on more than one occasion. They do a great job for Australia, as do every one of the men and women who proudly wear our uniform.
And Tom, this comes as the government again says it won't be sending naval assets to the region.
Yeah, Ros, the government has been fairly clear about this for a few days now, but it has been, I guess, thrown into the spotlight again by this tweet from the US President Donald Trump overnight, where he mentioned Australia alongside a number of other countries as countries he doesn't need assistance from anymore in trying to secure shipping traffic through the Strait of Hormuz. The President has been making some noises, of course, over previous days that he does want support from various countries, but we understand there was no specific request made to Australia to send a warship, and the government has been fairly clear that it won't be doing so. Australia, of course, has offered some support to the region, principally singly to the United Arab Emirates in the form of that wedge-tail surveillance aircraft, the 85 ADF personnel that operate it, along with a number of missiles, AMRAAMs, air-to-air missiles that are being provided to the UAE in support there. Here's the Treasurer Jim Chalmers speaking on this morning.
We've made the nature of our commitment really clear. Our commitment is about keeping more than 100,000 Australians safe in the region, including, I think, about 25,000 Australians in the UAE. And so we've provided the wedge-tail for good reason. We've responded to a very specific request from the UAE, and we've made clear the nature of our commitment.
Now, the opposition has also responded to this tweet from the US President, somewhat criticising, I suppose, Australia along with these other countries for support that has not been provided, that hasn't been forthcoming. Andrew Hastie, the Industry Minister, was quite strong in his criticism of the US President and his commentary.
Yesterday, he said from the Oval Office, I think it was, that he didn't expect the Strait of Hormuz to be closed for this long. Well, as I like to quote Mike Tyson, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face, and the enemy always has a vote. And so the challenge for the United States now is getting the Strait of Hormuz opening, because there's going to be a massive oil supply shock to the global economy, but particularly to allies like Australia, Japan and others who depend upon hydrocarbons exported from the Middle East.
Ross, speaking to defence experts in recent days, they're fairly united in support for this decision from the government not to send an Australian warship to the Strait of Hormuz, saying that Australia's naval capacity is stretched at the moment as it is, and the focus should be on what's taking place within this region. Of course, the question is, how does the US and others, reopen the Strait of Hormuz? Does this escalate over the weeks ahead?
Tom, thanks.